What's the difference between a Comic Con and a pop culture con? We're going to find out. Our gentleman today is Tim Hunt, and he is a very interesting promoter for the Capital City Comic Con in Lansing, Michigan. I'm looking forward to it because I want to learn about actually what goes into these Comic Cons and promoting and all this other stuff. It's got to be daunting. So come with me. Enjoy. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Ted Davies Artistry. This is TED Talks, and I am Ted Davies. I'm an artist, author, collector, YouTuber, publisher. I'm all kinds of stuff, I guess, but I'm excited to be here mainly, and that's the main thing. If you've never been to this YouTube channel, it's about creativity. It's about my creativity. It's about other people's creativity. It's about building a community of people that are creatives and that have an endeavor that want to help other people. That's what this is all about. So I'm glad you're here. Welcome, everybody. I want to say good morning to our fine feather friends here. Glenn B. Fleming from the UK. He's in the house. Peter Ryan. Hello, Carl. Donna. We got a few people. I've got other people on Facebook I haven't kicked on yet, so bear with us on that. Everybody else is on YouTube, so we'll get to that in a minute. I do want to talk about our sponsors real quick. I have a couple great sponsors. Cashman's Comics in Bay City, Michigan. Check out everything that John Cashman is doing. And, of course, say hello to Petey, the guard dog. If you have any new comics that you're looking for or anything like a pull list for monthly subscriptions for comics, check out everything that John's doing. He'll ship nationwide, actually worldwide, if you'll pay the shipping. So check out everything he's doing, cashmanscomics.com. And we also have Common Grounds Coffee. Common Grounds .coffee is actually the website. I have Waking Dragon. It's my proprietary blend that they make for me. They also have other nerdy names, that's what it's all about here, right? As Make It So Espresso and Second Breakfast Blend. So check out everything they're doing. Use Caffeinate TED 2022 for the promo code. They'll save you 10% on your caffeine purchase. Check out everything that they're doing. Today, we're talking about Ted's Library. What's in Ted's Library this week? Well, I'm going to brag a little bit. It's about me today on Ted's Library. I know I should be doing another author, but it is kind of in a way. I got this in the mail, finally. Comics Unlimited number 9. You can get this on Amazon. I put it in the links on the beginning, if I'm not mistaken, of the comments. Check out everything that Glenn and I are doing on comics. If I can get the light here just right. Comics Unlimited number 9. This is our first publication actually together. I am on this now. It'll give you a breakdown of what's happening and who's involved in this crazy venture. And Glenn's been doing this for a while with Tony Ingram, and they're awesome. I mean, it's well done. And when I had the opportunity to invest in this and to get things rolling with this, I took it. I jumped at it. So under new management. And I am extremely excited about this. Jody McPhee's got an awesome set of an article in this about Amazons of all things. Check out that. It's just a great book. It deals with comics. It is a common ground of comics. There's no agenda. There's no BS in it. It is all about history of comics and the up and coming new things they're having, indie comics and in comics in general. So check it out because I really believe in it. I think it's going to be I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do worldwide with this publication. We are worldwide anyway, but now, especially with Amazon and everything else with Kindle that we're doing, with all the back issues with Comics Unlimited as well, check out everything that we're doing. So, like I said, it's on my bookshelf, and I want you guys to have it on yours too, whether you want it digitally or paper. So, thanks again, Glenn. I appreciate you bringing me on that. And that's it. So check that out with Comics Unlimited because I really want everybody to be part of that. Okay. No further ado, I want to bring in the man of the hour. Tim Hunt is a promoter for Capital City Comic Con, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I want you guys to listen. Good morning, sir. I want you to listen to this guy because the promo side of him is something that I think we're all going to learn, and we might end up wanting to try to do this crazy venture like he does with other venues. I don't know. Welcome. When did they drop you off on this planet, my friend?
I've been here since the 70s, actually. Yeah.
Always Michigan, or
Yes, always Michigan. I was
mm.
dropped off in northern Michigan up near Petoskey.
Oh, sure, sure, not too far
Uh,
from here. Not
yeah,
too
I
far
grew
from here.
I grew up there and then moved to Lansing
Hmm.
to go to MSU.
Oh, awesome.
So,
All right,
yeah,
cool. Well, good.
stayed here ever since.
Go Spartans. Um,
Yep.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Lansing. Pete's in the house. He's from originally from Lansing, and now we're both now Pete and we're both up north. So it's ironic. You come down and we're up north.
Yep.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, Petoskey's such a beautiful area. Anyway, I love it up there. Um, it's a different world up there, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I'm just all the woods, you go out at night and you can see all the stars.
Yeah.
Here in Lansing, you can see the
No.
glow from the city.
Yep. You see the smoke. The smoke. What are this? The Seven Sisters? Is
This
that what they called it? Seven Sisters? Didn't they call that the
no,
smokestacks?
there's 3 of them. There's
Yeah.
3.
Okay.
Yep.
But
Yep,
you
the
can
3
see the lights
smokestacks.
blinking on the
Yep,
at the
you
power.
can.
Yeah. You got a cool river though. I mean, there's
We do. We have a few rivers here. Grand River. I've kayaked down there before.
yeah.
Kayaked down the Red Cedar.
Yep.
Anybody can
They
kayak
even have a
there now.
zoo. You even have a zoo in Lansing.
We do. We have a zoo.
So
Um, yep, lots of stuff. You can actually the convention this year is at the Lansing Center, which is right on the Grand River. So you can
yes,
walk outside the convention door, rent a kayak, go for a little trip up and down, and then just come back into the convention.
that's awesome. What a great
Yeah,
that's a great segue. That's awesome.
yeah.
We've got Ryan Permisson in the house too. Thank you, Ryan, for sharing this out. If you guys could like and share this out too, it would help Tim and myself greatly. Um, okay, so let's talk about first off, what is a Comic Con versus a pop culture con? Can you give us the differences?
That is a huge debate amongst both promoters and attendees.
Sure.
Uh, so Comic Cons, think back a few decades ago before the advent of the uh, superhero movies and
Hmm.
TV shows and streaming services and just everything everywhere. Comic Cons were get a bunch of writers and artists together in a hotel ballroom essentially and just advertise that they're going to be there for autographs and sketches, and you get a few dealers in and then you'd get all of these comic book fans and collectors
Right.
coming in, and that was a comic con. That's essentially all it was.
Hmm.
Nowadays they're a lot bigger and a lot different. um, the little ones, there's still a lot of those little ones around too. There's some shows that have been ongoing for decades. Of course, Motor City has been around since the
Sure.
early 90s. But even that, back then, it was sort of like that. It was a much smaller venue, bring in some comic creators, have some vendors, and that was it. Uh, but when you want to grow a convention and grow your attendees, you hit a cap at some point
Hmm.
with the people who collect or read comics that live in your geographical area. So, how do you defeat that attendance cap and
Hmm.
grow your business?
Hmm.
Bring in a celebrity that has a bigger draw, bring in a bigger name, add more stuff for people to do.
Okay.
And that's going to turn your show from a, a classic comic convention into more of a pop culture show where you've got actors and whatever else you've got there that's not strictly comics. But as we all know, there's a lot of crossover. Where
Right.
if you're into superheroes, you might also be into sci-fi or fantasy, and so now you're into Harry Potter and or Supernatural or Star Wars, Star Trek, all of those things.
And it's kind of a hybrid. I think we all we're kind of our lives are hybrid now, aren't they? Whether we're working
Yeah.
at home, whether whatever, on and on, even the cars we
Yep.
drive. So why not the conventions?
Exactly.
Um,
So yeah,
what's the best piece of advice Ryan Permisson asks to start a convention?
best piece of advice to start a convention.
Yeah.
Um, don't start a
Don't
convention.
start a That's what I was going to say.
uh,
Sure.
if you really want to start a convention, the best piece of advice is go to other conventions, and
Yeah.
don't just go to the one that's local to you. Go to a bunch of different conventions, go to different sizes, and do that for 2 or 3 years, and take notes and look and see what are they doing, what works, what doesn't work, what do you like, what do you not like, and then take friends with you and ask them all those same questions.
Hmm.
That's what you should do to start a convention.
Yeah.
And let me say this: the Comic Con, not my first convention that I've started. Uh, well, and actually, I didn't start this convention. I came in after it had begun. But a little history:
Hmm.
20 years ago now, it was 2002. I used to play a lot of CCGs back then in the 90s,
Hmm.
and I would go drive around with my friends, and we'd go play the Star Wars card game or the Star Trek card game at different
Sure.
gaming conventions. And one day we're driving home in the car going, we didn't like this, we didn't like that, we didn't like this. We could do that better. Like, if we just fix this, if we just fix that, why don't we run a gaming convention? And so we
Okay.
did. We started a gaming convention in 2002 in Lansing. Um, and
You
we ran it
sick,
a few
sick,
years.
sick
Yeah.
man. Man. Okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so we ran it for a few years, and gaming conventions way different than a Comic Con.
Yeah.
Um, much different logistics, but that's how we started. We were going to other conventions constantly, and looking at them and saying, how could this be better?
Hmm.
Um,
Improvement. Do
yeah,
you think that do you find that the same core people that game are Comic Con or pop culture people?
not always. There's
Hmm.
crossover, certainly.
Hybrids.
Yeah,
Hybrids. Right. Yeah.
there's a lot of crossover, but not always. There's a lot of people that go hang out in gaming stores that have no interest in comics. There's a lot of comic collectors that have no interest in gaming.
Card. Good point.
Um, yeah, so you've got your Venn diagram where the circles overlap. How much they overlap, I don't know, 20%, 25% probably.
Got it.
um, Something like that. I mean, look around. There's comic and game stores all over the
Oh
place, so
yeah.
they go hand in
There's
hand.
a few less than there were a few years ago, but yeah, I know what you're saying. What? Why?
Yeah.
Why then? Why plug into this particular convention? What was the
So
draw?
so this convention, Capital City Comic Con, was started in 2014 by a group of 5 people.
Hmm.
They were all owners in the convention, equal stakes owners. Um, My partner Brian came in, I think, year 2 or maybe year 3. I don't recall. He was friends with one of the people through work, through
Hmm.
his job. He was friends with one of the people that was in the group. They knew that he was a gamer and interested in pop culture stuff and read comic books, so they asked him to come and join when one of the former owners wanted to leave. So he said, sure, of course he'd do that. So he was there for a year, and he and I have been friends since the 90s, since college. We used to play the Star Wars card game together,
Hmm.
and he
Hmm.
helped run the gaming convention 20 years ago. So he asked me, hey, Tim, I just joined in this Comic Con group. We're running this show on campus at MSU. Why don't you come out and help us? You know a ton about comics. And I said, okay, sure. Um, so I did, and that's kind of how I got into it.
That's cool.
Over the years, the ownership has changed a little bit.
Hmm.
The first year I was there, I was not an owner; I was just a volunteer, and I helped out with a lot of stuff. Uh, at the end of that first year that I was involved, one of the owners wanted to step down. I took her place. Uh, and then the number has dwindled a little bit since then. Now it's just Brian and myself. So the two of us are co-owners 50-50 with the business. And then we have volunteers and uh, things like that helping us out to
For
make this
logistics.
happen. Yeah.
Yep. Good
Yeah.
morning, Eric Hawkins, by the way. I it's got to be two people. It's got to be daunting. I don't. I mean,
It
there's got to be
is.
certain things that you both are experts at.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've seen conventions that are literally, hundreds of thousands of people,
Yeah.
trying to deal with Stan Lee and everything else. I can't even
Mhm.
imagine that with just a two-person team. It would have to be a fleet of people that can manage
So,
it. Safety alone, I mean,
yeah.
security alone, you know?
Yep, we do have a bunch of people that we work very closely with that manage certain things for us. So a
Mhm.
big part of our time is actually managing people. So we have somebody who coordinates our volunteers. We have somebody who does a bunch of data entry for us. We have somebody who handles our social media. We have somebody who handles all of our VIP guest
Mhm.
relations. We have so there's a number of positions like that that we have one person kind of in charge of. So every week we're on the phone with all of these people for an hour long meeting, going over everything that they've done in the past week, everything that needs to be done in the next
Sure.
week, making sure that we're on target for meeting deadlines and goals and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a management position,
Right. What's
definitely.
the hardest thing? Is it managing with celebrities and agents and all that other stuff, or is it more so on the floor, managing that type of thing for artists and for, just laying the
um
whole thing out?
in terms of like what's most difficult
What
to manage.
probably that would be. I know
Okay.
that you have to have the celebrity draw. I get that, and
Yeah.
you have to have the artists that are doing the products and things of that sort. But
Yeah.
is that a
So
is that that's got to
this.
be life? I mean, that's got to be in itself a life just to deal with that 40 hours a
Yeah.
week, dealing with agents, seeing if the person's going to come in. What
Yeah.
do they want? God, I don't even. I can't even imagine that.
That's probably the toughest thing, and that's actually a new thing for us this year because we've never brought in celebrities other than comic book
Mhm.
people before, with one exception. We had our last show. We brought in one voice actor, George Lowe,
Mhm.
who does some stuff on Cartoon Network. Um, uh, and so he was the voice of I think Space Ghost, Coast to
Oh yeah,
Coast.
that's right. Yes.
That's
Mhm.
so we brought him a couple years ago. One, to test the waters, and two, because one of our local supporters who helps us from League of Enchantment is was friends with George.
Okay.
Um, so we brought him in kind of, and everybody liked it. He did well. And so you move at that time we were still a 1 day show.
Okay. Which,
Moving
by the way,
to
since we're segueing that,
Yeah.
now we are a 3-day show, correct?
Now we are a 3 day show at the Lansing Center. We're moving off campus this year. This is our first
Mhm.
time in the Lansing Center. We're
Mhm.
3 days. It's our first time being a multi-day show. We're bringing in a bunch of actors and voice actors, which is bringing in this quantity of them is really our first time doing this. Not to discount George personally, but handling one person in that capacity is very different than handling
Oh, yeah.
15.
Yeah.
So that's probably been the biggest time chunk of time requirement this year
Management,
is
yeah. Yeah.
managing celebrities, the agents, the communication, the flights, the hotels, the contracts. They all have different needs, they all have different wants, they all communicate differently, they
Mm.
all whether that's style, or uh,
Branding, yeah.
yeah, how they communicate,
Right.
how often
Mm.
how quickly they communicate sometimes, the sometimes the agent translation uh, uh, thing. So that's just been a huge change this year for us.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
it's a learning curve, though, but you guys
yeah,
are,
it is. It is.
this isn't your first rodeo, it's just a little bit different change
Yep.
from what.
Yep, and we've already learned a couple things, very important things for next year. We need a travel agent to handle all of that stuff for us. uh,
How did your first who was the first, star, if you wanna call it that, that you are having? Who was the first
uh,
contact?
the first people that we booked this year were the anime voice actors.
Mhm.
Um, so we had a couple lined up that had to cancel due to various commitments and or
Mhm.
other things. Couldn't make it fit in their schedule. So we ended up going through an agency then, to find some replacements. And so we've got a nice slate of people who have all been on Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mhm.
Three of the four of them have been on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Um, and so there's some nice crossover there. We ended up getting a pretty good slate that we're happy with there.
Right. Right.
The Peanuts cast that's coming
Mhm.
actually
That's the
approached
one I'm
us.
kinda looking forward to. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
That and Jim
yeah.
Shooter.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so we were approached by one of the Peanuts cast,
Mhm.
and she didn't have an agent. She actually. So we're having a wedding at our convention this year.
Really?
Yeah. So on Sunday at the convention, if you have a ticket into the con, the wedding is happening on the main stage. It's open to the public, free to attend.
Wow.
If you have a ticket into the con, so
Mhm.
anybody at the con could come watch this wedding. It's Seamus and Katie from the League of Enchantment here in Lansing. They are a nonprofit cosplay group that does appearances at children's hospitals. They
Mhm.
raise money for Children's Miracle Network. Really, really great group. They started here in Lansing.
Mhm.
They're big in
They're
Michigan.
well known. They're very
They
well
are
known in
they're
Michigan.
well
So, yeah.
known,
Yep.
and they also have started chapters in other states now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so they're growing to the point where it's going to be a full-time job for them very soon. Uh, you
What a
know,
better
uh,
problem to have. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. So their goal is now to have a chapter in every state.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know if they have a deadline on that or a date for that,
Right.
but they have Chicago, Michigan, Chicago, and I know there's a couple others, and I think there's one or two that they haven't announced yet, but that are going to be opening up later this year. So anyway, Seamus and Katie, super well known, super liked
Mhm.
throughout the community. They're getting married at our convention on Sunday afternoon.
Very cool. Well, give
Um,
congratulations for them, and that's awesome.
and so why did I segue into that? Why
We
was
were
I talking about?
I'm not sure. We were talking about, we're talking about the Peanuts characters or the
Oh
Peanuts
yeah.
for actors.
So that's why. So one of the Peanuts actors saw on Facebook the wedding announcement at our convention. So she just messaged us out of the blue and said, "Hey, this looks really cool. Do you have do you bring in guests to your show?" I was
Mhm.
the voice of Lucy on the
Yeah.
Charlie Brown cartoon, and we
Yep.
said, "Well, let's talk." And she said, "I'd really like to come in as a guest." And we said, "Well, who else from the Peanuts cast can you get us? Because it'd be really cool to have at least three of you, so we can kind of advertise, hey, we have, if you're a Peanuts fan, you want to come here and get their autographs, selfies, whatever it is you
Right.
want to do,
Right.
listen to them talk, meet them, etc." So she got us the voice of Charlie Brown and the voice of Peppermint Patty as well. So we've
Oh,
got all three
awesome.
of them coming for the whole
Awesome.
weekend. Yeah, so that sort of fell into our laps. Jim Shooter's returning. He was here 3 years ago at our show.
Yeah.
He had a good time, wanted to come back. We said anytime.
Awesome.
So
I,
um,
uh, I missed, Jim, we were down in Lexington, Kentucky. I missed him because I just didn't have time. I was working the table and
yep,
trying to, and I'm looking forward to seeing him because
yeah,
I've actually got a couple things I want to have him sign. Hopefully, if it'll take a couple minutes. So, yeah,
yep.
I was looking forward to meeting him. But that's great. And then, did I just see Arnold uh
Tom Arnold.
sign on?
Yep,
Yeah, Tom Arnold
yep.
signed on.
Tom Arnold signed on.
Interesting guy, man. And he's a
Yep.
fun. He's actually, if anybody's met him, he's fun. He's a lot of fun.
Yes. Yes.
You wouldn't you know.
Yep,
But
and he
yeah,
does a lot of Comic Cons too, which I
he
did not
does.
know
He
until
does.
we looked into that. So
Yep.
that was
Our friend
another one that was.
Amy Hale, just had a picture with him, a couple days ago, down south somewhere. I don't know where they were, but yeah.
Yep. Yep,
Anyway, go ahead.
he
Sorry.
travels around. That was another one that Dave messaged us and said, "Hey,
Mhm.
Tom Arnold would like to come to your show. Do you want to bring him in as a guest?" And we said, "This was a very last minute thing. We
Yeah.
didn't even get him on our flyers and our posters." And we
Yeah.
had the discussion. We said, "Well, why don't we bring him next year when we have time to advertise him?"
Promote it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we asked, and next year's convention dates, he is busy filming a movie already booked. So we said, okay, well, we can't get him next year. Let's go ahead and do it. We'll bring him in,
Okay.
and we'll
Well,
make it
good.
work.
Well, I'm
So
glad.
yeah,
Well, like I said, and this is how you do it, grassroots. You put it on the
yeah,
Facebook page, I'll promote it and whatever. That's the way it works.
yeah,
Um, are there how many people? Let's talk about capacities.
yeah.
So now the building that you're going to be in, the convention center, how many people are how much occupancy can you have? Are there
Uh,
any
some number of
restrictions with
some
yeah.
number of thousands.
Mhm.
I don't know the actual number off the top of my head. I'm sure the fire marshal knows, but we have a table layout that the fire marshal has approved. I
Good.
so I don't actually know that answer. We have, I think the hall is 70,000 square feet or
Mhm.
80,000 square feet, so it's pretty large. It'll
And
fit.
tickets are already on sale now,
Tickets are
correct?
on sale. Yep, you can go
Yep.
on our website and get tickets through eTix. So you can get a ticket just to the convention floor, which includes our panel rooms.
Mhm.
The evening events in the hotel across the street are extra. Some of them are. We have a couple things that we're doing for free, but if you want to come into the drink and draw or the Tom Arnold comedy show
Mhm.
or the cosplay concert with the bands, those things do require an extra paid ticket entry. That's to help cover the cost of all those things because
Sure.
we're
Understandably. Yeah,
paying for all that
understand.
stuff to go on.
Sure. Sure. Let me just go through my notes here. Okay, so since we're in again the larger venue as well as an ADA compliancy, like we said,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter wheelchair, whatever. It's accessible to the
Correct.
public, and you'll
It
be able to
is.
enjoy it. So, why don't you speak
Yep.
a little bit more about that, and then we'll.
Well, it's a city-owned building.
Hmm.
The building is owned and run by the city of Lansing. They have made the building ADA compliant, and it may have
Hmm.
been previously. I'm
Years
not
ago, yeah,
sure.
I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it's been a while. So everything there is ADA compliant,
Hmm.
wheelchair accessible, uh, elevators. Even there's an elevator into the underground parking structure. The restrooms all accessible. Yeah, so I'm not aware of any issues in
Hmm.
that regard with the
Right.
venue. I've certainly been in venues where there are problems. We made our aisles between when we did our layout. Our aisles were all a minimum of 10 feet.
Okay.
Some of them are 12, some of them are 14.
Hmm.
And then around our special guest area, we even have a larger space to accommodate lines and stuff like that. So, um,
Excellent.
I've been
Speaking
to
of,
shows where there's 4 feet, 4 foot wide aisles, and you
yeah,
can't
I know
even.
you can't even in today's world. No.
Yeah.
How is parking set up for people? Because that's always another issue for everybody.
It's downtown Lansing.
Yep.
Parking is uh, not free. If you want to be right close. If you're able to walk, you can park a couple blocks away in one of the free lots
Hmm.
nearby and walk over to the building. If you need to be right there, you will want to park in the parking garage underneath the Lansing Center and just take the elevator up to the first floor of
Hmm.
the center. If you have a larger vehicle, there's an outdoor lot on the back side, north side of the center as well. If you're coming to the convention, you're going to want to look at the parking information on our website, which I don't know if that is up today. I know that that is one of our things for this week because I have to send it out to vendors this week.
Okay.
So it will be up on the website this week at some point. We'll have a little map of the downtown area that shows the various one-way streets and the various parking garages because it can be a little confusing
Yeah.
if you're trying to figure out how to get into the Lansing Center parking garage. You can only get there from southbound Cedar
Got it.
on the north
Right.
side of the building.
And that's a little bit. Is there anything else going on downtown this weekend? Do we know anything?
Not that I'm
Or
aware
that
of.
that weekend? Sorry.
Nothing big, at least. We have all three of the main halls in the convention center. So
Okay.
they have a giant hall where they have those walls that will
Yes. Yeah.
slide in and out
Partition. Yep.
to
Yep.
separate the sections. We have all three sections of the main hall. So if there's anything else in the center, it would just be in the ballroom. I'm
Hmm.
not aware of anything going on. It's possible there might be something small there happening.
Very good. Are they? How is it set up with any restrictions from COVID? I know the cities. You would go with anything that the city mandates, but anything of that
Yeah,
sort.
we're gonna follow city guidelines. At the moment, there
Hmm.
are no restrictions on anything. There's no rules about having to check for vaccinations or
Hmm.
mask requirements or anything like that. If that changes, if the city decides to change anything in the next few weeks, we will. That I mean, we have to let people know
Sure.
immediately, of
Sure. And I
course.
think
Um,
in our community, everybody's in our
yeah,
community should stand up to any problems. They should be able to be conscientious
yeah.
and considerate to everybody. So, and they
Yep.
understand that. I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah,
That's part of
we'll
it.
have masks there at the door for anybody who wants to wear one and doesn't have one.
Right.
There'll be hand sanitizing stations around. Um, if people want to wear masks, great. If people don't want to wear masks, that's okay.
Very good.
The only thing we expect everyone to do is be respectful and considerate of everyone else's choices and personal space.
Well said.
Um,
Well said. Yep.
we've got to we have policies on our website that you can read that are for our cosplay contest and the
Right.
convention in general about being respectful to everyone.
Absolutely. And that's something that I think that we can all strive for. And you know what? It's a no-brainer. We need to do that, you know?
Hmm.
And the way I look at it too, it's somebody's kid. That's the way
Yeah,
you always want to look at,
yeah,
having a daughter or a son for that matter, it's always it's somebody's child. That's the way I always
yeah,
look at it. So,
yeah.
um, what is the I don't want to get into numbers with it, but when you're promoting in that premiums, insurance premiums, do you guys have to take out some type of umbrella policy? Do you have a license? How do you?
We do. We have an insurance policy, but it's just for the weekend,
Yeah,
so we don't have to carry it for the whole year, which is good.
that's
Uh,
great, but it's still,
it's
I'm sure, but you don't have to get numbers, but
it's
I'm sure it's
yeah,
expensive.
it's not prohibitively expensive.
Okay.
Uh, for instance, we do, this is a little larger because it's a large facility. There's a lot more
Hmm.
people, but we even do policies when we're doing promotional events sometimes. Um, sometimes, so for instance, we'll go to the Lugnuts, which is the
Hmm.
local Lansing
Right
baseball
down
game.
the, yeah, just
Yep.
walk right down to it. Yep.
Yep, we'll go to the Lugnuts game and we'll set up a table and hand out flyers and free comic books and talk about the convention, stuff like that. So we have actually the next 3 Saturdays in a row we'll be there
Hmm.
at the Lugnuts games promoting. So when we're there,
Excellent.
we don't need a policy because their policy happens to cover
It covers it.
the
Okay.
groups that come in. But for instance, we do some of the small. Suburb town fairs that are
Hmm.
around the
Hmm.
Lansing area and the Tri County area here. Some of them don't have a blanket policy that covers their vendors, so they require some require us to have one. Some suggest it. When they require it, obviously we get one, and
Sure.
it's under $100 to have an insurance policy for the day.
That's great.
Uh,
Well, that's
to
well worth it. It's a, like you said, no
Yeah.
brainer. So,
Yeah, just in case something happens to one of us or our staff
right.
while we're there, the policy for the convention itself, it's not that cheap, but it's not prohibitively expensive. But again, the question was asked, what best piece of advice to those who want to start a convention? Here's the second best piece of advice: go talk to convention promoters,
Hmm.
become friends with them, take them out for lunch or dinner or drinks or whatever and ask them, what are the things that I don't see at a convention
Yeah.
that are part of running a convention? Because
Yeah.
insurance is one of those things. You have to have it.
Well, in today's
Uh,
world, yeah, it would be scary if you didn't have
yeah,
it, and that's one of the things that when I'm talking to you, when you're on my show, and everybody knows that about TED Talks, we try to make sure that we're having, um, you know, not it's just not a sleazy, this is just a, 3-day, money grab.
yeah,
This is a very well thought out, safe for families, to attend, and this is something that, for Lansing, it's a big thing. And,
yeah.
it's cool to be a nerd now. It
Hmm.
wasn't, 20, 30 years ago. Now
Right.
it's accepted. So we might
Yeah.
as well embrace it and enjoy it, and having it family safe. And
Yeah.
that's why you're here. So I want to make sure
Um,
people understand that.
Since you brought up family safe,
Hmm.
let's talk a little bit about some of that. Not
Absolutely.
necessarily the safety issue, but more the family part.
Sure, sure.
Um, so when I joined the convention, the first year that I was involved in the convention, um, it was put together very much like just a vendor hall.
Mhm.
um there would be they had a stage where bring up a guest, have them do a talk or presentation, um and that was great. But the first year that I went, my wife took my kids, in for the afternoon, and my kids were bored,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of cool stuff to buy, and you can look at all that stuff, but there's nothing for them to do.
Sure.
So what we decided to do was add in some activities and some things for kids to do. So that to make the show more family friendly, to make it so that when you bring your kids, you're not just dragging them along while you go from booth to booth shopping.
Right.
So the first year that we did stuff, um, we had an arts and crafts table, which is, for conventions, a lot of them have a coloring table.
Mhm.
So we did mask making, and we put a lot of time and effort into the thought process behind what we wanted to do. Um, and so this is a lot of specific nuts and bolts about one particular thing, but I just want to kind of use it as an example here. We decided against paper masks, which are super cheap and super easy
Mhm.
because they fall apart quickly and they get destroyed real quickly. We wanted kids to be able to take something home that they could use, that would last, and that would even be a reminder or a memento of their experience at the convention. So when
Mhm.
they pull it out and use it a month from now, or 2 months from now, or 6 months from now, it reminds them, oh, I made this at Capital City Comic Con.
Mhm.
So we actually did felt masks. We got some help from our local makerspace. We bought all of this felt. My wife is really big into crafting and sewing, so
Mhm.
she took the felt and did two different colors. And glued them together with some material on the middle. I forget what it's called. We took them to the makerspace, and they laser cut the
Oh,
masks
wow.
out. Yeah, so we gave them templates, and so we had like I don't know, 6 or 7 different templates, and they pre-cut the mask shape with the eye holes out, so that kids
Mhm.
wouldn't have to cut that part out themselves. And so you could pick, and we did them in all different colors.
Mhm.
So you could come up and you could pick which design you want and which color, and it was pre-cut. But then you could put the rubber strap on yourself, and then
Mhm.
you could either color or cut the mask to make it different, or you could glue on other felt shapes. So we had sticky felt and markers and fabric markers and all these kinds of
Mhm.
things. And so you could just come up and you could design your own mask, and then that's yours, and you get to take it home. So it was and then we did some other stuff. We did a make your own comic book,
Mhm.
or make your own activity book, I should say,
Yep.
where they could pick their own pages. We'd staple them together. They had their own custom book. We had a toy hack where we had just bins of action figures and toys. You could cut them apart with little hacksaws, glue them back together with hot glue, make your own toy, make your own action
Mhm.
figure. So it's these activities and things that we wanted to include in the con. This year we have slime making. We have we have
That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be
yeah,
fun.
we have a painting project that you can paint on a piece of wood that's got a design pre-etched into it.
Mhm.
We're gonna have we have a reptile uh, display this year that is not. You can come up and you can ask to touch the snakes and the turtles and things, but it's actually a local charity that rehomes them. So you can come in and you can adopt a reptile at the convention this year. So there's we're always trying to include stuff like that to make it kid friendly.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Kids under 14 are free, so 13 and under get into the convention for free. So if you're a family of 4 and your kids are younger, adults have to pay, but kids are coming
Yeah.
in.
It's not a
No
not
cost.
a complete, uh, break the bank for the
Right,
weekend. You have
right.
actually money possibly to spend,
Yeah,
at the convention too.
yeah.
Um, well, I'm glad that you guys are at least thinking outside the box in that respect. I mean, there's not, I don't know many Comic Cons that done that have I'm sure that they do, but maybe I'm not looking at it because I don't have younger kids anymore, you know?
And that's how it came about.
Mhm.
We went as parents with our kids, and we're looking around, going, we wish there was stuff for them to
Something.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and is it, it's not a drop off, it's not a daycare,
No.
and
No.
that's something that people have to understand. This is not something to, it's not like at, Home Depot when they're doing, crafts and that, you need to be there with your child,
Right.
but it's there to help, ease the pain of them being bored, which,
Yeah.
it does happen. You know how,
Yeah.
we have,
Yeah.
we've gotta be overstimulated now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and there's
but
still lots of comics, collectibles, toys,
yes,
stuff that kids are going to be drawn to as well. Especially, Artist Alley.
sure.
When my kids now, and my kids are, entering the junior high
Yeah,
years,
yep,
but going through Artist Alley for them, they're familiar with a lot of the video game characters and the
mhm,
anime characters. They're into
mhm,
that stuff. So
yep.
it's not the same as when they were, 4 and
And
5.
I get a lot of requests when I'm at shows, that are I don't even know the characters. I
Yeah.
actually have to look them up, and then they have to tell me about them, which is good because
Yeah.
it builds interaction with me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's always very interesting. When is the show? We've been talking about it.
Uh,
When is the show?
it's July 8th, 9th, and 10th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, the vendor hours are going to open up after work, 5 o'clock, 5 to
Mhm,
9. And then Saturday, 10 to 5, Sunday, 10 to 4. We do have after hours events Friday and Saturday evening in
mhm,
the hotel across the street at the Radisson. Most of those are geared towards adults. The karaoke Friday night and the trivia Saturday night, we are not putting an age limit on. So if you have kids that you feel it's appropriate for you, you're welcome to bring them. It's in a bar setting,
mhm.
so there will be alcohol there, but you know we have security staff
It's
there.
food too,
It's
I'm
not a
sure.
rowdy bar.
Yeah.
There's
No.
food. It's a bunch of nerds getting together to do
Right.
karaoke and trivia.
And I'm sure they're not gonna be the only parents, in the bar with,
Yeah,
children.
yeah,
Um, okay, cool. I appreciate your time, man. What else
yeah.
is there anything else
Thank
you
you.
wanna go over? I know that, tickets and that pricing will be on the website.
That's all on the website.
Mhm.
I don't
Anything
know.
anything else you wanna go over?
Real quick,
Mhm.
we'll do lightning round rapid fire.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Video games, free play
Mhm.
and tournaments,
Awesome.
autograph signings. There's photo ops for some of the celebrities available on our website. Um, Tom Arnold doing his comedy set Saturday evening. That'll
Mhm.
be 18 and up at the hotel. We have VIP passes this year, which we have never done before. We have uh, all of our Artist Alley vendors, special guests, cosplay groups combined. It's about 260 booths worth of stuff
Wow,
at our
yes.
show.
Yep. Yep.
So we've got the Mystery Machine kit from Knight Rider,
Mhm.
the Munstermobile from the Munsters,
Very
uh,
cool. I
the
haven't seen that
Invisible
in a while.
Jet. Yep,
Oh,
Wonder
yeah.
Woman's Invisible Jet will be there.
Okay.
You can take pictures with all of those things. We've got the cosplay groups, League of Enchantment, Star Wars,
Mhm.
501st, Mandalorians, the GI Joes, Ghostbusters, the robot from Lost in Space
Oh,
will be
excellent.
there.
Yep.
We've got concerts. There's a lot of stuff to do this year at this show. It's not just come buy stuff. We want you to come buy stuff. Our vendors want you to come buy stuff, but
Sure.
it's not just come buy stuff. It's come hang out, have a good time, enjoy everything that's going on uh, at the show for
Absolutely.
3 days.
Well, and I know that you have a lot of work that you've accomplished. You got a lot of work to continue. I know you're doing a lot of different shows, and I appreciate your time coming here. I know that we're going to be attending Capital City, so we're
Yep.
waiting now. We're trying to get everything organized. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it. It'll be the first time I've been to the show as well, so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to having
Yeah,
you. Glad you're
thank you.
in our
In the
group this
pool,
year.
in the
Yeah.
pool. So yeah, thanks again, man. I appreciate it. We'll make sure that we share out all your information in the description as well. Stick around. I'll talk to you in a minute as I'm ending this event today. This is awesome. Thank you. I'm glad
Yeah.
that people
Thank you.
got to learn.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So we'll see you in a couple minutes. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll see
All
you.
right.
So, guys, the thing about Comic Con versus Pop Culture Con, I think, is answered. Uh, I don't, I don't see that. I think it's always going to be a hybrid now. It's just part of our world of what we have around us. We're inundated with so many different creative ideas whether it be on Disney Plus or Hulu or whatever. I mean, it's on YouTube, you name it. And that's sometimes it can be really, like I said, overwhelming. But with these shows and that, maybe you can get just a little bit closer to what you really like. And hopefully it's the creatives, hopefully it's the writers, hopefully it's the artists, hopefully it's the actors maybe that you can meet and have them sign your favorite book or whatever. Or maybe one of the artists sign your favorite book. Um, I just want to make sure that you guys know that promoting is not something that's got to be an easy thing for convention convention promoters. I think it's got to be a very daunting and very thankless job at times, I'm sure. So I'm glad that Tim took time out of his day to actually show you guys what it's all about. Whether you guys are looking at doing your own conventions or what have you, check out what they're doing at Capital City Comic Con. And if you're in Lansing, on let me see, July 8th, 9th, and 10th, if I'm not mistaken, check out what they're doing. So thanks again, guys. I do want to tell you that I'm going to be at art show this week at the Art Stroll in East Tawas, Michigan on Saturday night or Saturday evening, 4 to 7. It's only for about 3 hours. They're doing a silent auction and we're raising some money for local art creative charity for kids here. I'm going to be actually in one of the galleries. They're going to be I'm going to be selling a few things of my work, on my art prints, my books, that kind of thing. But check that out. It's the Art Stroll at East Tawas, Michigan on Saturday, June 11th. And then this Thursday, of course, Comics Unlimited podcast this Thursday with Glenn and myself at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. I don't know what we're talking about. I think we're going to talk about speculations, costs of the cost of what comics are worth versus really, missing the mark about what they're really worth, about reading them and enjoying them. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. I think I'm going to discuss that a little bit further with Glenn. But you guys have a great day. Do something good for somebody. Do something maybe they're not expecting in a good way. So, and do something that will make the world just a little bit better. It's not that hard. We can do it. We'll talk to you soon. Be safe, guys. No envy, no fear, and get writing or get drawing or get creative. We'll talk to you soon.